Welcome to episode 3 of Practice With Me. Today, we're covering some things we learned from the previous Brian May video. If you haven't seen it, stick to the end, I'll link to it. But for now, grab your guitar, it's time to practice with me. Hello, this is David. We're gonna practice together. This is episode 3 of the series. If you're new to the channel, thanks so much for stopping by. We're going to apply concepts that we learned from listening to Brian May's music in a previous episode. These concepts were extracted from the What Can We Learn from Brian May episode. If you haven't seen it, you can watch that at the end. You don't have to watch it before this video. Just practice with me for a little bit and then go watch that video. I'll refer to it at the end. We're gonna use the backing track here that you can download for free along other backing tracks in the style of Queen, but the one we're using today is this one right here. It's written in the style of Don't Stop Me Now. It's kind of a rock thing, but there's some interesting things happening in the back, and well, we're gonna discover that together. That's what this episode is about. A couple things before I get started. First of all, they're doing construction in the street, so if you hear noises, well, that's what's going on. Sorry about that. If you're not hearing it, great, my mic is doing a good job. Secondly, well, I had a hard time preparing this episode because Brian's playing is packed with interesting things, and really what stands out is not one of those things. What stands out is Brian's ability to serve the song. Everything is serving the song. If you were to take Brian's solo out of the song, it would still sound good, but you would be missing the other parts, right? And so that's really what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna try to build together a solo using some of the things that guitar things we unpacked in that video, but I'll walk you through it. But really, if you can take something out of that, it's to do this. Listen to the track, use your ears and your mouth. I heard something. Did you hear that? Kind of like intro thing. Imagine that you're Brian. What would you do here? I'm hearing the ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-dum. That's what I heard. Simple, right? This ba-ba-bum, it's something that we talked about in that What Can We Learn from Brian May video, where Brian doesn't, oftentimes Brian will do a pre-bend, play that pre-bended note with a little bit of vibrato and then unbend it. Let me show you a close-up. Something like this. Here I'm on the 10th fret, 2nd string. I'm gonna bend this so that it sounds like the 12th fret. Pre-bend it, play the note and then release. That kind of thing. So I'm hearing a lot of those in my head there. Something along those lines. So how do I know which notes? I use my ear and I fish around. Simple. Okay, then we get into the song. I'm willing to consider these chords there that go on to be the core of the song, the thing I'm gonna build my track on. That's gonna be the river that you need to cross. You're starting here and you need to reach this point. And in between, that's your solo. Instead of recklessly trying to swim across, which we often do, we're going to throw some rocks in the river, stepping stones that are gonna help us cross that river and perform something melodic that serves the song, while still leaving some space between the rocks where we can improvise and use some of the automatic, recklessly beautiful licks that we have, you know, pentatonic stuff, where you don't really have to think about that. That kind of thing. We need to be careful though, because Queen's music is known to throw some interesting chords in there that don't always stick to the key. So what are we going to do? We're going to use our favorite tool, our ears. I'm going to create a loop here with that river to be crossed, and we'll see what kind of stones we can put in there. By the way, the software I use is Transcribe. It's really good, highly recommend it. That's where I can do my loops, my sections, slow things down and all of that. So that's the river that I need to cross. It's blue. That's pretty awesome. But that's the segment we are looping here. There's a link in the description of the video. Scroll down to the bottom and you can check that software out. Okay, so we have our river to be crossed. The first thing that we have to do is really to put our guitar down and physically do that. If you're new to the channel, you don't know why, but if you've seen a few videos of mine, you know why. It's because when you have our guitar, we are tempted to think like a guitar player, and our hands positioned on the instrument automatically condition ourselves to think like a player. We really don't want to do that. We want to think like a musician who is participating to what is being told. You're adding a little piece to this story, and that piece oftentimes doesn't come from here. Well, it does actually. Oftentimes it comes from here, but it probably shouldn't. If it comes from your heart, that's where beauty will happen. The real you will, anyways. So we're just gonna imagine. Put on the hat of a lead singer. You're a singer up there. Okay, something happens there. We're gonna try to figure that out later on. We have two sections at the beginning that seem to be kind of in key, so we're gonna try to think something melodic. Okay. Okay, something like that. Okay. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna grab my instrument now. We're just gonna fish around for these notes. So we had I have one right here on the 5th string, 10th fret. I could have played this in other places, maybe here. 4th string, 5th fret. It doesn't really matter at this point. We're just finding the notes. 5th string, 12th fret. Which I could also play here. Different options. That's 4th string, 9th fret. So that's the 3rd string, 7th fret. Notice how it was really easy to find this note. That's because my fingers took over, and my fingers have recognized, without my brain recognizing it yet, that this follows a pattern that is very familiar. That's the G major pentatonic scale. So the more you practice fishing around for notes that you found by singing something, the faster it's going to be to recognize how to play those on the fretboard. So that's going to be my first rock that I'm throwing on the river, and I can just hop on it, and then I'm in the river and I'm crossing it. Kind of works. Okay, I think that works. So I repeated the theme, and then I varied it just a little bit at the end. I think that's one thing that you can take out of so far this practice session is repetition is a good thing, but tweaking is an even better thing. It sounded like a really lame thing to quote, but we'll go with it. Why is it important to repeat things? Well, it's important because we love to feel at home. Our brains love to recognize things. That's why we love recognizing patterns, associating, objects with others and puzzles and things like we love that. We really do. And the same goes with music. So you heard that once, and I'm repeating it with something a little different at the end. So your brain doesn't get tired. Your brain likes creative things like different variations, but within the context of familiarity. And that's what we're doing here. And check this out. If I sing this over the river, we're almost done. Beautiful voice, right? Oof. Okay, then we get into this second half of this river. I'm going to isolate this. Don't worry, we're gonna make these rocks, stepping stones, a lot more interesting to play on the guitar in just a little bit. For now, we're just placing the rocks in the river. We're gonna tackle this second part. Now, this second part, there are some harmonies already on there, so we're gonna have to follow that. Again, we're gonna use our voice, And we're gonna focus on the guitar bends there, and we're gonna try to match that with our voice. So we'll just listen for now. We're only 3 pitches. Pitch number 1, 2, back to 1. Okay, we're just gonna focus on that section for now. So I'm gonna loop that, and I'm just gonna sing it as it is. So the notes we have here are all on the 2nd string. We have the 12th fret, 8th, back to 12, and 13. But we're gonna bend to these notes. So I'm bending to 12 from the 10th, bending to the 8th from the 7th, again back to bending 10 to 12, and then bending 12 to 13. So that's what we have in that passage. We're not going to play that. I think we need to harmonize that. A harmony is basically playing the same movement of the line. So in this case, we had something like, without considering the bends, we had the first pitch, bum, lower, back to this one, higher. So it does kind of a line, right? You've got da, ba, da, da, like steps. Step down, back to the original starting step, and step up. So we have those 4 pitches. So we're gonna need to follow that movement in our harmony, and we're gonna harmonize that maybe a 3rd up or 5th, or I'm not quite sure. But the first step is to figure out what scale is being used there. So we do know that the scale uses these 3 pitches. We're gonna bring these 3 pitches in a narrow area of the fretboard. So we'll maybe take this 2nd string 8th fret and bring it right here on the 3rd string 12th fret. If you don't know how to do that, just use your ear until you match the tone. So we have these 3 notes. Then we're gonna try to use our ears as we jam over this loop to find the missing note. If you hit a wrong note, just fix it until you have it. Okay, I have it. It's G major, G Ionian. These notes are going to work. Now, if we want to do a harmony in 3rd, the first note that we had was this one right here, right? Which is in our scale. So we're going to take that and follow our scale and go to the 3rd note up. So in the context of the scale, that's the 1, and that's on the 2nd string, 15th fret. So we're going to bend to that note at the same exact time as this note is bended to. So we'll do something like that. Let's give that a try. It works, right? And then it's just a matter of doing the same exact thing with the other 2 pitches. Ba, da, da, ba, 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 ba. Yeah, so we'll have da, ba. And then da, 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 ba, ba, ba. Yeah. I think that's the winning combination. Let's give that a try. Great, we're almost done with planning our steps to cross that river. Then we'll make it a little more interesting. We have this section to cover here. Pay attention to the first 2 chords. Same root. The nature of the chord is different. It's probably like a major chord followed by a minor chord here. Yep, it is. So we have a C major and then C minor. And I actually love those because they make everything you play, as long as you match what you're playing with the chords, so melodic. So that's gonna be pretty easy. We're just gonna go with maybe an arpeggio thing. We have the C major, so we'll do a C major triad. Maybe we'll play it right here. And then a C minor triad. I think we have our rocks. Now let's make it a little more interesting. How do we do that? Well, we remember the rocks, and in between, we add the things that our fingers want to do, that our brain wants to do, that you just kind of kind of take a leap of faith, really. In between the rocks, we're just gonna kind of swim. So let's give that a try. I'll loop the whole river and see what happens. It's pretty simple, but it really works. It works because it serves the song, and it also works because it was not born from just playing up and down scales, and it was not born from throwing out licks that you know would work. It was really born from hearing and singing. And I think that's where Brian's music really stands out. I really hope you take this to heart, you followed along, and you apply everything that you learned over this backing track and a few others that I'm going to include for you for free. There's a link below. It'll take you to the download page. Download these tracks, see where they lead you. And if you have not seen the What Can We Learn from Brian May episode, well, it's right here. Click here. I'll meet you there. You can watch it and see other things that hopefully you can take to your playing to make it a little more personal. I'll meet you in this video. Tracks are below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Practice well.